Hi there, everybody. How would you like to learn a trick about making natural looking red hair? Um, to create something that looks a little more like they were born with it rather than something that's a little either too bright or too flat. There's a little trick that I have, and I want to thank you all for coming here today, watching this class, taking time out to learn something a little bit new and different about how we can make a little fun with some red hair. The goal and aim of the class today is to give you an opportunity to learn something of a little bit of a secret trick in how to create natural looking red hair as opposed to creating artificial looking red hair. And that is one of the hardest tricks in 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 hair, but I intend on giving you a little secret insight as to how to make your hair look natural when somebody is going for a natural red. I'm Tiffany. I have been a hairdresser for 20 years, and I've been using Matrix products for the last 15 of those years, and I've picked up a few little tips, little tricks, a few odds and ends as to how to create something that's a little more natural using SoColor pre-bonded and SoColor Sync pre-bonded colors from Matrix. This program will take about 20 to 25 minutes. We're going to just stay on Zoom, and I'd ask that you keep your microphones muted. And if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and type them in the chat box, and I will be checking that periodically as we go through. Take notes. We'll be saving this recording so you can watch it later if you need to go back and review something, and feel free to stay in touch afterwards. You can catch me on Instagram, a little bit on Facebook, or send an email, and I can give you that information at the end of this class. So the first part is just, I want to say that Matrix has put themselves into 4 core values, and I want to share how those are going to be utilized in this class. 1, it's uncomplicated. We want to make everything as absolutely simple as possible. Break it down to its basics. We are inclusive, so we will include everyone, every hair type, every color, every texture, every pattern is included in our environment. We also believe in personalization, so you can take this technique and utilize it in other ways that aren't necessarily directed towards red hair. And it's accessible. We have online training. You can connect with me, you can connect with other Matrix educators and stylists and find the information that you're looking for. And we also have a couple little guiding principles. I want you to think outside of the box. The technique is simple. It's uncomplicated, but the process behind it is a little unconventional. And I'm going to ask that you believe that you can do something new, that you can get in there and make natural looking reds in your own environment. And then I want you to dream where you can go with this information. What else could you do with this technique? What else can you do creating a multi-tonal, multifaceted color refresh? And then dare. And when I say dare, I mean dare to make mistakes. Dare to take a chance. Dare to try something different. and see where you can go with it. You learn best when with doing and even trying, and it's just such a wonderful thought of just dare to just take that chance. And with all of that out of the way, I'm going to just ask a few questions. And if you could go ahead and type in the chat box, how many of you, type a Y in the chat box if you have ever had an issue with creating a natural looking red on somebody. Okay. Yeah, I figured. The secret here is that red hair isn't red. And it's going to sound a little unconventional, but red hair is actually green hair. When you look at natural red hair, the pigment in it is ashy, and ashy is green. Now, I want to ask quickly, how many of you are familiar with the color wheel? How many of you have used the color wheel for neutralizing, use the color wheel for determining what tones you need? Okay, yep, wonderful. And how many of you know what red and green are on the color wheel? If you could just type an answer. Yes, they're complementary colors. And what do complementary colors do? They cancel each other out. So red plus green creates neutral. When you are trying to create a natural looking red, what would happen if you mixed a red tone color with a green tone color? Exactly. It's going to neutralize, therefore coming out to somewhere in the brown, neutral, natural category. How do we approach creating this beautiful red hair that looks like they were born with it? Any guesses? We are going to be using multiple colors, but in a very specific method as to create a lovely multi-tonal natural looking red that is also naturally green. I'm just going to introduce you here. This is Viola. She has come in today for a retouch. Her hair is a natural level 6. She has no gray, 0% gray hair. Her curl pattern is about a 2B. Her hair itself is of a medium texture, and she wants to just take her natural level and enhance it and make it look like a natural red. I've already prepped her ahead of time with her root color, and that root color is a 6RR plus in the So Color permanent line. And all I've done is outlined our quadrant and taken and put the color, the 6RR plus So Color pre-bonded, onto her root section. Now we are ready to remix fresh for the ends to be refreshed and toned. And I have chosen today to use the So Color Sync pre-bonded in 5RR plus and 7 neutral jade. I've chosen the 7 neutral jade as my complementary tone, as jade indicates that it has green, and normally this neutral jade is there to encourage the removal of the red tones from the from the hair, to neutralize those red tones. And that's not quite what we're looking for, so we won't mix them together. I'm going to go ahead and begin by, excuse me, I'm just gonna move my cart here. Begin by measuring out a 1/2 ounce of the 5RR Plus. There we go. Followed by a 1/2 ounce of 10 volume cream developer. I didn't measure that perfectly. That's beautiful. And then I will do the same thing with the 7 neutral jade. Any guesses why I might have chosen a level 5 and a level 7 as my refreshing tones? Once I get this measured out, I will look. Yes, you've got it. It is that they would average out to a visual level 6 when we're done. So we're going to just mix this up here. Da, da, da. Okay, clear these off. And we're going to just mix our color up. I apologize. Maybe I can put the camera down just a little bit here. There we go. Mixing the color thoroughly so we don't have any lumps or odd spots. Mix the second one. And for this technique, I'm going to recommend that you have a towel handy, just because how I apply my colors on the ends requires the use of my hands, and I don't want to necessarily mix these tones together. I'd like to keep them separate. But start with putting on a nice pair of gloves. We can start the process. And what I've chosen to do, I think, see, what's the easiest way to do this? I think I'm going to move my cart around just a little bit. We're working with you. So what I've done is, like I said, we've already applied the 6RR Plus to the roots with 20 volume developer. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pull out a slice and clip the rest of the hair out of the way. Going to I start with the 5RR Plus, and we're just going to put it right down the entirety of the hair shaft. And then we let it drop. We're going to wipe our hands and take the next subsection, which will be a slice. They don't have to be perfect. This is kind of a nice thing about this, is, you know, perfection is not required. So our next subsection is going to be the 7 neutral jade. And we're going to just run that down and let it drop. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way to the occipital bone, where I'm going to change my technique to something to add a little bit more, even more natural looking color. So we're just alternating as we're applying, alternating from the 5 RR plus to the 7 NJ. And we will do this through to the occipital bone. So, and remembering to wipe your hands off between each section. Like I said, we don't want to necessarily mix these two together for the sake of having the tones neutralize themselves out. So just keep applying. Get right up close to the root section and working this through, massaging it all the way in, and then just let it hang there. And this is another reason, or I suppose this is a reason that I start my subsections from the bottom so that I don't have to worry that I'm going to be flinging colored hair all over the head. Back to our neutral jade, which has those nice green tones in it. Just let that go. I think we'll do 2 more little slices. And this is a good way also, you can do this with any color combination to create some variety, create some tonality, create a little natural view. So taking 2 complementary tones, taking, if somebody wants to be natural looking, no natural hair is only one color. So if you even take, say you're just doing a nice rich chocolatey brown, maybe you're using say a 5WM, and you want to add a little more depth to it, maybe you would take a 5A, you could take just a 5 neutral, any kind of complementary or complementary by way of color wheel or complementary by tonality. And you can even take a 5WM and maybe add in some pieces that are a little lighter. All right, so now we've come to the part, we're at the occipital, and I'm going to change my technique a little bit. So what we're gonna do is part out my slice, but now we are going to take it and weave it into 2 sections, and now we will apply to the first weave section, 5 RR plus. We will then take the second section, wipe my hands off, second section, and add the 7 neutral jade. This creates even more of a natural blend to the hair color. And we will continue this pattern all the way up the head until we get to the crown. So once more, taking a slice, parting out into a weave pattern, starting with our 5 RR plus, and applying neatly, efficiently, wipe the hands, second subsection, and create with the 7 neutral jade. What this is going to do in the end is create a very natural looking red hair for your guest. And you, like I said, you can do this with any two colors that you feel would be suitable to a person's color goals in the end. And this gets into using a little creativity, using a little understanding. Let me just continue here for a second. And you can even do some of these subsections a little thicker, maybe even up to 1/4 inch, if that is going to align with the look you're going for. I'm going for subtlety. You want it to look as natural but bright as possible, and utilizing the two tones of red and in this case, neutral jade for the greener tones that occur naturally in red hair. You can get the blend that looks very natural, that looks like somebody just has auburn hair, has ginger hair, has whatever combination. And you can do this at any level. Don't think that it's just for these medium level hair colors. You can do this with your blondes. If you want to make a natural strawberry blonde, you might use a red or red or copper tone, lighter color, and then add some, using your corresponding color might be a nice ash blonde. Ash blonde isn't quite green, but it gets the spirit of the color. So as we're going, I'm still weaving out colors. I don't worry too much about them falling on each other. That's not going to be too much of a problem. They won't blend into each other, generally speaking. You can also do this with specialty colors. Maybe somebody just wants to have a hint of, let's say purple. Somebody wants to go and have like, I'd like my hair to be a little, something a little purpley, but I don't want it to be too overwhelming. You can do a technique like this with the So Color Cult Demi-Permanent colors and create creative color, fashion color dimension while not committing to the entire head of hair being the fashion color. And you don't have to, maybe you only do it in one subsection. There's the possibilities here are nigh on endless. But this gives the idea of how to effectively blend without blending. I'm blending together red and green without making the hair look neutral. When I finish this section, I will take down her subsection here and show you what the results come out to. As I prepped her beforehand with this color formula, knowing that nothing says how did we do like seeing a few results. So we're still weaving, still separating, laying down the colors as they process. It's really fun to see that they process. You can see the two different tones, one being more red, one being definitely more green neutral, as this is the neutral jade. And that's something you can also do, is use these neutral series as a alternate tone. So if somebody is a warm blonde and wants to add a little depth and dimension, maybe you would take one of the neutral violets as your particular tonal partner. And you can use this same technique just to create depth under the top layers. You can add some subtle low lights around the face or in the nape of the neck, or you can use this idea to add some subtle highlight type tones, maybe just on the top of the head, maybe just around the face, maybe just up where the sun might get to the hair, to create even more of a natural view. And now we are nearing the top, so I'm going to do this last subsection here as a split, and then the very last section on the top I am going to just commit to the 5RR plus, as we want to still be noticeable but appear as natural and as red as we can make it seem. So we have this just very last little subsection at the top of the quadrant. And we shall take this and utilize that. And now, at this point, I would, which I will, or keep track, I would normally set a timer for 20 minutes, let this process, and then we would go rinse and wash with the Matrix Total Results or Biolage shampoo and conditioner of your choice. Take my gloves off and sneak back across here. So here that is, processing. Now over here, she was already done. My lighting is not the best for this, but I'm going to try. I will be showing these results. Wow, that looks really not red. I apologize. My lighting's a little off, but I will be showing this on a post on Instagram to show you what the final results are. This one has been posted previously. It was the same set of colors so that you can see that it looks very natural. Under this light right now, it looks very brown. But I can show you that on the Instagram. Are there Are there any questions? I'm going to just shift my camera just a tiny bit. Nope, that might be too high. Apologies. There we go. Ah, yes, that is a really good question. Can we do this same technique doing a virgin application with SoColor pre-bonded? And the answer is yes. This technique is good with any type of color. You can do it to create special effects in fashion colors, say mixing a couple opposing tones or complementary tones and create a new fashion effect. You can shift your colors, say maybe you only do half in, like half from the bottom up in one color, and then say 5RR plus and then the 7 neutral jade, but maybe in the top I want to brighten something up and I really want it to pop. So I might opt for 5RR plus as still my base, and then maybe come in with a 7CG and brighten it up. Is that going to be the green tone that we're looking for being natural? Not as much, but it will add a pop of color, of lightness, of how the hair would naturally look in the sunlight, out in the daytime. And is there any other questions? Any other comments? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking your time with me to learn this little trick about natural red hair, but also about getting creative with your color, thinking outside the box. Believe that you can do it. Dream about where you can go with this new technique and dare to try it. Dare to do something different. Dare to make mistakes. If you end up using this technique ever, I would like to be tagged in any of your Instagram photos. So I'm gonna just see. It's long. You can find Coiffeuse Extraordinaire. It's start spelling it, it'll come up. Tag me at Coiffeuse Extraordinaire. Tag Matrix at Matrix, and let us see what you've created and dared to try out. I thank you all so much for your time, and if you have any questions, I will make sure to keep an eye on my DMs on Instagram. And thank you once more very much, and we'll see you next time.